Abdul Carter has a stress reaction in his right foot. Tests revealed Wednesday. According to Adam Schefter, doctors told Carter that after further scans on his right foot, surgery is not advisable. Carter will work out at his March 28th pro day at Penn State. Kimberly A. Martin joining us live now from Indy, the site of the Combine, with the latest. Hey, girl, great to see you. Kmart, tell us, what are you hearing about Abdul?
There's nothing not to love about him. A lot of draft boards have him as the top guy on their board. A lot of teams that I've talked to, let me just start by saying this. Coming into the Combine, he was not going to participate in any workouts because of a lingering shoulder injury. Talking to teams even about that, they said, you know what, we got to wait for medical, but the tape is fire. There's a reason he's a unanimous All-American. There's a reason he's the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. When you have teams at the top of the board who need edge rush help, when you got to build in the trenches, that's how you win games. So this latest situation with the stress reaction, everybody I've talked to said they don't expect it to affect where he's slotted. And he told me when I spoke to Abdul Carter one-on-one the other day, and he said, look, I should go number one, and whoever gets me is going to get a dog. So I love this kid, and so do a lot of teams.
Well, first of all, it's great to see you at the NFL Scout. I mean, I like that. I like the look, Kimberly Martin. I mean, you look like you're in your element. Go ahead now. Go ahead. Now, having said all of that, I would say this. I'm not really concerned about the foot injury because they're talking about if surgery is needed, he's going to be out for about 8 weeks. Last time I checked, the season is months away. He'll be just fine. So we got to look at it from that standpoint. I really think it just comes down to the team, guys, when it comes down to him, because do you need a quarterback? The top two positions everybody's looking for is a quarterback and a rusher. We all know that. And this brother fits that latter bill. So we get that part. If you're the Titans, Mr. Mayonnaise himself, Mr. Will Levis, I mean, you can't go that route. Okay, so I think that the Titans desperately need a quarterback. I think that the Browns with Deshaun Watson, I think they need a quarterback. The Giants clearly need a quarterback. So it's hard to imagine. I mean, they're saying that he could go number one, definitely top three. He clearly should. I don't have any idea where. I think if you need a quarterback, you got to go that route first, at least with the top two quarterbacks in the draft. After that, all bets are off. That's just me.
Yeah, I'm with Stephen A. Definitely not worried about the foot itself for all the aforementioned reasons. This is a very long time. I'm not concerned about that in any way. But the one thing with Abdul Carter, and of course he's going to say, I feel that I'm the number one person in the draft. A lot of people back that up. They think he's a generational type of talent, and that's fine. But what I disagree with him on is the sentiment that you can win as many games with a dominant edge rusher as you can a really good quarterback, that you can somehow impact. Because I'm just looking at a list of some of the most recent, edge rushers that were drafted, and impactful edge rushers at the league level. Max Crosby. What's going on in Las Vegas? What do they need?
Mm-hmm.
Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
What's going on with the Browns? The Browns decided, just taking his case as a test case example, to draft Myles Garrett, someone that they thought was the most talented person on the board. They needed a quarterback. They draft him. They go 0-16. And what did they ultimately have to do? Draft a quarterback the very next year. Look at some of these other ones as well. Michael Parsons, he has a quarterback, but quarterback play is always in question, and certainly a big part of why we don't think. Nick Bosa, TJ Watt, an incredible edge rusher. He's a generational talent. What are they missing in Pittsburgh? So I disagree that a team who needs a quarterback should still go not super high on either one of these. Abdul Carter can lead us to more wins than trying to go through the draft at QB. I just wholeheartedly disagree. I'm not saying that either one of these quarterbacks in Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders are generational type talents or that they're necessarily going to project as franchise players. But I do know we have so many examples of taking an edge rusher and then being incredible for your team, but that not resulting in wins.
Man, I'm glad you guys are not NFL GMs because it is very, here's the thing, because while you point out Myles Garrett, you point out Max Crosby, those franchises are in the state that they're in because they also whiffed on quarterbacks too. Like I understand you always want to take quarterbacks, you always need quarterbacks, but I know that we were talking not too long ago about Trevor Lawrence being a generational quarterback. They took the quarterback. What's happening in Jacksonville? There are to look at it within a vacuum, you got to take take the lens back a little bit. Abdul Carter, you're talking about talent. You are talking about, look at the Super Bowl. You're talking about an Eagles team that made Patrick Mahomes look mortal because of their defense, because of that front. So to act like, oh, defensive linemen, edge rushers don't have the same type of impact that quarterbacks do, yes. However, the other context around it also matters. And the other decisions you make, had the Browns not spent money and draft picks, a lot of first-round picks in Deshaun Watson, maybe Myles Garrett's situation doesn't play out the way it does. But just because you need a quarterback doesn't mean you just take one at 1 or 2 if you are not convinced that he can be the guy. And also the Bears, they took 2 quarterbacks. Top of the draft. Where are they? Still in a position where, okay, they need other help on the team too. So it can't just be an either-or situation, in my opinion.
Well. First of all, I love how you just engage in selective amnesia and forget an inordinate amount of times that you yourself, Kimberly Martin, has said that teams need a quarterback because you're not going to go but so far without a quarterback. I love how you just conveniently forget that. But that's neither here nor there. The point that I'm making is this. Theoretically speaking, in terms of what's coming out of your mouth, you're right from the standpoint you don't just take any quarterback. I got that part. We got that part. Trevor Lawrence wasn't just any quarterback coming out of Clemson. And, oh, by the way, he did guide him to a playoff victory. And we weren't saying a couple of years ago what we're saying about him now, because we saw him come back from a 27-0 deficit against the Chargers in the postseason and win a playoff game. We were speaking about Trevor Lawrence in entirely different terms at that particular moment in time. And it looked like Jacksonville had a quarterback of the future. And who knows, they may still have. They're paying him $55 million. They better figure it out. I got that part. But we're not just talking about taking just any quarterback. We're talking about a Cam Ward or a Shedeur Sanders. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about the top 2 quarterbacks in the draft, which a lot of people believe have incredible potential. So when you're looking at it from that standpoint, as opposed to just drafting off of need, if your need happens to be somebody who is considered a baller and it's at the quarterback spot, I think that's very, very, very difficult to pass up on, even for Abdul Carter.
Steven, you are so smart, my friend. What you're saying is true. However, if you can take a quarterback, do you have a line in front of him? Do you have other weapons that he can throw to? Can you protect him? Do you have the right coach? Do you have all of those things that when you're talking about developing a quarterback? Listen to Ryan Poles this week saying, you know what, in his rookie year, Caleb Williams, steps were missed. Yeah, as far as his growth and maturation and the process and the plan that we had in place, some steps were missed. So yes, they have a baller in Caleb Williams. But last season wasn't good enough. And they also know that they now have a new coach.
All right, Stephen A, quickly, and then I want to give Al the